Coming up on your favorite podcast, it is the AFC Over Under as we take our turn to go through the other conference, the conference that none of us have any teams in, with the exception of the Patriots, because the Patriots rule. We'll get into all of that in the next hour or so. I got Ryan, I got Zach. It's going to be AFC Over Under time. Should be a great time and a good chance to get us set for the upcoming football season. Hope you enjoy it. Got a lot coming today on the pod. Hey, it's the Tim Anderson Podcast. I'm Tim. That's my buddy Ryan, and that's my other buddy Zach. Another wonderful day here, sarcastically, in the United States of America. Kind of a rough one. Another rough day to start another rough week here, perhaps, in the good old US of A. But here we are, offering you the therapeutic distraction that we like to do here at the podcast, and that is we're here to talk football. So, Zach, Ryan, welcome.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Always a pleasure. We did the NFC pod a couple weeks ago. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that yet, go ahead and do that, because rest assured it was red-hot stuff. We talked about a ton of things. We were going to have an emergency pod for a Deshaun Watson trade even, but that's pretty much cooled here in the last week or so, hasn't it? Don't seem to hear anything more on that front. Anybody have anything new to add?
I mean, not really. Pattern with Watson, the
saga has been very interesting. That it seems to continue on, and it hasn't gotten very far. And the girls were interviewed by the NFL, and they didn't like the line of questioning. So we'll see where this heads.
Yeah, this is on its way to being another ugly one. But again, I don't believe he plays a down this year in the NFL. So I've already been trying to talk my friend out of fantasy value for him, and we were talking over the weekend and discussing what is the fantasy value of Deshaun Watson. Nil. I think it's 0. I might be in the minority on that one, but I think it's a do not draft on him. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure Ryan. I mean, Zach, you'll probably take him for $1 late in the draft. He'll end up playing, and you'll win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Like it seems like that happens a lot in our league, which is kind of unfortunate.
Ouch.
No, I mean, not unfortunate for you. It's unfortunate for me because I don't win. I mean, I've yet to win. It's my league, and I'm the commissioner. I bought the belt, and I've yet to wear it. Ryan's worn it. You've worn it. I haven't worn it. It's frustrating.
Well,
it is one hell of a belt.
As we say around here, we're aroused by excellence, and you're sitting with two people who are excellent at fantasy football and consistently put up good results. So, it's going to be a tough road for you, but we believe in you. We'll celebrate with you. It's okay. Yeah. We'll have a whole pod just to celebrate the day you win. It's all right.
It'll be blow out the budget coverage when I win the fantasy football Super Bowl. I'll break in with an emergency pod that night. I'll invite everybody in the league on as a guest. We'll have like a 10-person pod. It'll get rowdy. It'll get rowdy in here for sure. Let's. Week 1 of preseason's in the books, gentlemen. Did anybody take away anything from preseason week number 1? Rye, did you take away anything from preseason week number 1?
Look, there's a lot of things that you take away, and it's mostly that I just don't wish we could just do away with the preseason. I don't need to watch it. If you guys want to have scrimmages and test your team against other teams, then fine. But I don't know why we need the preseason games. I just don't get it.
Zach, you like preseason? Did you take anything away?
I think there's some value in it, more than what Ryan is giving it credit for. But I don't think you overreact or either way to anything. But there are some things that you can look at. Are guys making the right reads? Is the ball going to the right person? We saw a lot of fumbles from rookie quarterbacks this week.
We did.
And so that's something, because that's the thing, right? Like protecting the football and I guess maybe the bigger story is Love is hurt and they're not sure if he's going to play this week. Which really puts the Green Bay quarterback situation interesting for the last 2 preseason games because they're not going to play Rodgers.
No.
So
is this where they call up Tim Boyle, or no? What is his name? Was that who it was that was starting, and have him? I mean, Aaron Rodgers sounds like he just wants to bring the whole team back from 10 years ago. So I mean, who was the backup then? Let's get everybody back. Bring Brett Hundley.
Tim Boyle may win the job in Detroit.
Oh.
He's the backup quarterback there right now, but how much do you trust Goff?
That's fair.
The answer is you don't.
Right, and so like they're literally talking like, well, they might just run the third string quarterback out there for the whole game, or do they have to sign someone?
It's going to be a lot of handoffs. A lot of handoffs coming up in the next game for sure for Green Bay. I took away one thing, and it was in the post-game comments from Kellen Mond. I don't know if you saw this on my Twitter, Tim Anderson Pod, by the way, if you haven't had a chance to check that out. He says, I think he was talking to Chris Tomasoni or whatever it was. I think he was with KSTP. I have to share this because I just think this is the stuff that you take away, whether it's worth anything. Chris Thomason. Kellen Mond's response to Mike Zimmer saying he must be more vocal. I don't necessarily know what he means by that on my personality. I thought I did a good job in the huddle and getting certain guys going.
I disagree with your take that he's a bust because of that.
It's over. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. It won't work.
Look, I think it's a bit harsh after one preseason game to say that because the guy he clearly doesn't understand what Zimmer wants from him. We know that Zimmer's had a problem with this kind of communication in the past, that players haven't known what he wants. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the players saying that. I like a guy who stands up for himself, though. I think that shows potential. I think it shows leadership.
He's going to be playing quarterback for someone else next year anyway, so
why
not
is that
a big deal.
Ooh, you mean Kellen Mond's going to be playing quarterback for someone else next season?
Yeah. There'll be a new head coach in Minnesota.
Oh, new head coach who wants his own guy. Okay, now I get what you're saying.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean it's a coin flip for me.
I just got to tell you, I wasn't. First of all, he looked smaller than I remembered him in college. I mean, I guess again, I understand it's college versus the NFL, and again, you don't take anything away from the fact that we just got drubbed by the Broncos. Who cares? I don't care about the score. That stuff doesn't matter to me at all. And on the field, I didn't think he looked terrible. I just thought he looked smaller than I remembered. Like he looked like Kyler Murray out there. I'm a little worried about Kellen Mond. I'm just saying, if we need him for any significant time during the season, I think that's a bad thing. That's bad.
To be clear, I'm not
totally
saying Mond will be gone. I'm just saying that Zimmer will be gone.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I think we got that after a minute there. It took us a second, but no. Honestly, I think that he'll be fine eventually. He's a guy who's gonna benefit from sitting for a couple. There's no way that if you put him in before year 3 that he's gonna be any good. He needs the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right. And he's going to get a lot of time in this preseason, which is where the value is of preseason, to see like the young guys, like Trevor Lawrence playing, to watch Justin Fields play yesterday. And I actually thought he played decent. I thought Jordan Love played pretty well until he got hurt, or what I thought that he did. I mean, there were some nice things coming out of that yesterday.
I think you buried the lead on that because Trey Lance looks really, really good.
Yeah.
He has just a howitzer for an arm. He's dropping the ball in the bucket over defenders. That's no matter what level you're playing at, that's impressive. If he gets the time to kind of sit and work through learning, which he will, I mean, he's going to have all the resources available. I really do think Trey Lance could be a quarterback situation similar to Patrick Mahomes, where he's just one of these small guys. These top picks that, isn't the consensus number one, and he kind of comes out of nowhere, it seems. And year 2, 3, that big arm where you can throw anywhere on the field in a creative offense that's going to give you space is huge. And his athletic ability is prototypical. I mean, it was really interesting to see that develop on an NFL field the other night.
It is a interesting thing to watch. Starters should play this week, so this week might be a little more interesting and a little more compelling. It's not like we're going to have a weekly football pod for the preseason, but it is just something to keep an eye out. Let's get to the topic at hand. Let's talk AFC over-unders. We won't spend as much time previewing each team. We'll try to just throw out the over-under, maybe give a sentence or two explanation. Maybe if something persists and we have a dialogue about that, we'll take it down that road. But it's not going to be the most, we're not going to go 3 hours here. I mean, let's just be clear. But we have the AFC over-unders. I'm curious to see what you guys say. I can't find my goddamn pen. There it is, right there. Jesus H. Christ. Okay, now we've got some order in this place. My God. All right, gentlemen, let's start with the AFC South. I know we talked a little bit about Deshaun Watson at the top. I'm curious to see what everybody thinks. Where are we at with that one? Over-under on the Houston Texans to begin things. The over-under is set at a whole number 4, thanks to our friends at Vegas Insider. 4, Zach, over-under 4 for the Houston Texans.
I'm going to go over. And that might be a little bit of a bold statement for this team. I'm sure there's a lot of people looking down on them saying they got no chance. But I think that they're professionals in the locker room. They have a coach that's new and for all purposes, right? Like he's fighting for a job, right? Nobody took him seriously when they hired him. So you're going to have a guy who's doing anything he can to win games. And they might get the quarterback back. Still don't know what the situation is there. So I'm going to go over with them.
Ryan?
This is one I wish I could push, but I'm going to go under. I think that there are some games that could definitely surprise, but their schedule does not line up real favorably for them. It's a late bye. It's a lot of early road games. I mean, it really is going to be a tough season for them. They pulled a tough schedule in addition to having a down year on their roster. I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I got to go under too. I think this is the worst team in the National Football League this year. I think they win 3 games. 4 is probably about right, honestly. They probably are going to be a 4-win team, but I don't think they're going to win 5. I think that's a big ask to get to 5-12 if Watson doesn't play. Now, that is an interesting point that you make, Zach, because I still say under just for the purposes of this discussion. But if Watson has not been charged and he hasn't been suspended by the league and he is on the roster week 1, the Texans have to play him, don't they?
I think so. I mean, at some point they got to start giving him reps too, or figuring out what's going to happen here, because it sounds like he's not even going to be charged or the possibility of being charged for a long time. So I think you got to go for it here and play him, at least to build his value back up if you're going to trade him. Because I think there's still a lot of questions about him, and the more he sits out, the less he's worth. So you got to get him on the field either way.
And if he plays, then you start to think, well, maybe 5 is possible. Even if he plays 6-7 games before suspensions come in or something, I mean, he gives you a chance to win if he does play. So, I mean, that's the question to watch all preseason and into the regular season. The Houston Texans are not interesting. I think David Culley's a one and done. I mean, the way Steve Smith talked about him when he got hired tells you that he may not be the most respected guy in the history of football. Not sure this was a great hire, but again, I could be wrong on this, but it's going to be interesting to see. I'm just curious to see what happens. Ryan, if he's on the roster week 1, he's got to play, right?
Yeah, I think so. If he doesn't want to play there, right, then I don't know if he'll play there. They could decide that he's a liability to them on the field, that he might not be giving it his all, that they might want to see what they have in these other players if they think that they're going to get rid of him. I don't know, but I think if you have to give it a go and see if he'll play, but it's kind of a two-way street here at this point. You know what I mean?
Right. So we'll keep an eye on
that. I think though that, like I was saying, I don't think it does him any good not to play.
No, for sure. I agree with you, but we've seen players make miscalculations on that before. I mean, he definitely could decide that it's not worth the potential injury. It's not worth what if I go out there and I'm rusty because I haven't played in a number of months. I think almost a year for him, right? He was out early last year. So there's a whole load of variables here that we're going to have to keep an eye on. I mean, if he does, get close to playing and he's still on the team.
Keep an eye on that one. Currently, he's listed as the fourth string quarterback in Houston. He has not practiced. He's been at practice, but he hasn't actually put a helmet on yet. I think he has just worn a towel over his head and no shoulder pads to this point. But we'll keep an eye on it. We call that
the Cam Newton.
The Cam Newton look. Except Cam actually wears shoulder pads occasionally, which is an interesting thing. All right, the Indianapolis Colts. Carson Wentz might play at season opener. It seems like that story is changing. That prognosis has changed a little bit. They are over-under still, according to Vegas Insider this morning, at 9 wins. 9 wins. Zach, do you like 9 wins for the Indianapolis Colts?
I think they're an over, even though I'm not big on the Colts. I think they'll be 10 wins, first-round exit again in the playoffs. So I go over here. I just don't think I don't have the love affair with them like Ryan does.
Yeah, I was bullish on the Colts. I thought that this could have been a dark horse team to contend for the AFC title earlier in the offseason, but the injury to the quarterback, the injuries on the offensive line, I'm with Zach. I think I look at the schedule, and just based on the schedule, I see roughly 10 wins. So I would take the over on this, but I think that they're an 8 to 10 win team, and that's kind of their ceiling at this point, unless guys suddenly start to get healthier than I think they're going to be.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over here too, just because if Wentz gets back early, if he does get back week 2, week 3, there's still a lot of season left, and if he stays on the field, I think he does give them a chance to win. Without Quentin Nelson, that does hurt. I don't dispute that at all. That's a bad injury. But I like Jonathan Taylor. I like some of the pieces they have. I do think they can get to 10 wins. I'm kind of with you. I don't see them being a 12 or a 13 win team. Obviously not, but 10 for sure. I think they can go 10-7 and be there. So I'm going to say over as well. We all agree there. Over on Indianapolis. Very very good. All right, next team. The Tennessee Titans. This is one of Zach's favorite teams. Mike Vrabel. Their over-under, though, is also at 9, which is kind of interesting because I actually thought it would be higher than that. Do you like 9, Zach?
I like the over again. It's going to take the over with everyone in this division. No, I mean, I think you're going to have, right, the other part of it to look at in this is we don't think the Texans are that great. We don't think the Jaguars are that good. So you're going to pick up some wins there. And the schedule is, it's not the toughest schedule in the world I've ever seen. So I'm going to go with the Titans over.
Ryan?
Yeah, I probably will too. I think the Titans are probably the best team in this division. I think their play style lends them to be a contender in the conference because they're the kind of team that can hold scores down if their defense plays well. But I think I take the over on this. I just think by nature being the best team in their division, they're going to be the one that wins a significant number of games, not a 6. It's probably 5 for them, at minimum. So I'm bullish on them this year.
They're going to go 5-1 in the division. I mean, you got to think. I think they're going to sweep Houston. I think they got a really good chance to sweep Jacksonville. And if they just split with Indianapolis, I mean, that's all they got to do is get 5 more wins. And
right, and they play teams like the Cardinals, the Jets. Who else was on there? Oh, the Dolphins, who aren't amazing. There's some.
They're playing a lot. They're playing a lot of teams that are going to be really good teams in a couple of years, but aren't right now.
Patriots.
Oh, they're going to lose to the Patriots. Let's be clear here. So don't start putting a win in the column there. That could be a big help.
I don't think they're going to lose to New England this year.
Well, we'll see about that.
It's a late November game in New England, but the
way Tennessee pounds the rock too. I mean, in a snow game, that's cold weather game. That's kind of what you want. And I got to tell you, I don't know that when they've played, New England really hasn't been able to stop Derrick Henry. So,
oh, ye of little faith, my friend. Ye of little faith. But this is a big over, though, for me. I think Tennessee wins 12 games. I see them going like 12-5. I mean, they are if Henry is still Henry, right? Which running backs do have a tendency, especially guys like Henry. We talked about this in the offseason. They can hit walls, right? And when the wall hits, it just stops. And it can be a precipitous decline for guys like Derrick Henry. I'm not saying that happens. And if he's even 85% of what he normally is, I mean, they're going to win 12 games, no problem. And they've got a lot of weapons. I mean, you add Julio Jones, if he's healthy, that's not a bad get. All right, next one. Ryan's favorite team, Urban Meyer. Coach Herb back in the NFL, or not back, in the NFL for the first time. Herb coaching. 6.5 wins for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ryan, since you love Herb, I'm going to let you go first. What do you think?
What was the over? What was the number on this one?
6.5. 6.5.
Yeah, this is another one. I think Vegas hit it right on the money. That's right where I would put them at this. I'm probably going to take the under. I don't think they're quite there yet. And I don't think that they're 6 wins good on this schedule. So I think you lose 2 to Tennessee. I think you split with Houston. I think you lose twice to Indy. And then you've got San Francisco, Atlanta, Buffalo, Seattle, Miami, Cincy, Arizona, Denver. I mean, those are tough games. Those are all teams that are going to contend for playoff spots. I think that this is probably an under for me.
I think it's an under as well. I don't see how this works out for them. I'm not big on Herb. I'm not bullish on Herb, to use Ryan's terminology. So I'll go under with them.
I think they do have it pretty close, Ryan. I agree with you. I think 6 wins is right on. I think they're a 6-11 team. Trevor Lawrence is going to play a lot as long as he doesn't get hurt. I think they're going to show flashes of improvement. I think Herb's going to have them excited early. Kind of like, it reminds me a lot of when Spurrier went to Washington. Like, he kind of dazzled early, and then the league kind of figured him out, and things kind of fell apart at the end of the season. But for about, 7, 8, 9 weeks, it was kind of an interesting storyline. But I think as things get cold and he has to go bundle up, which Herb does not like to do, I think if he goes on the road to a Tennessee, goes on the road to some place where he's not super comfortable, I don't think you're going to see him not enjoy things. And I think under is realistic. I think 6-11 makes a lot of sense for Herb this year.
I see 11 losses and 6 coin flips on this season, which never bodes well because you're going to lose 50% of those games.
Yeah, I think they'll do better than 3-14. I just think they'll be better. I mean,
I do too. Make no mistake. I think so too. But I see a lot of coin flips on this schedule.
All right, to the AFC East, Zach. Speaking of Zachs, Zach Wilson got, there was some bad press early on him. He was a late sign to camp. Word is he didn't look great in scrimmage. I didn't think he looked terrible in the preseason game. I saw only a little bit of that, but I was like, well, he seems fine. But I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. What do you think? They are over under at 6 for the Jets. So with Robert Saleh as the new head coach and the rookie QB.
I'm pulling up the schedule right now because I think 6 sounds light. I like the coaching hire.
I do too.
And looking at the schedule, I think I like the schedule, so I'm gonna go over here.
Over. Wow.
I think there's enough. I think there's enough wins on here.
If they go 7-10 or better, Saleh's got to be considered coach of the year, right? I mean, that team had no talent, and that's a complete reshuffle. It's a lot. That would be a huge feather in the cap of Robert Saleh if they went 7 wins or better.
I think they did well in the draft, and you look at the schedule, and with Ryan's terms of coin flip games, I think there's a handful of those, but there's also a bunch of these games where I just don't think the team scares me. Like playing the Panthers, I guess the Panthers don't scare me. playing the Falcons, they've been below average. You don't know what the Bengals are going to look like yet. The Dolphins still don't blow my doors off. They got the Texans on the schedule. I think there's enough games here that they can win. So I'm going to go over.
Over for the Jets. Ryan.
I think this is an over for me too. I think this is a team that's going to surprise a lot of people this year. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but the Jets feel like a team that, with good leadership, it's not like they don't have talent. It's that they were poorly coached for the last handful of years. I mean, this is a team that I think could make a jump forward and kind of become one of those teams that's, that at this time next year, we're talking about the Jets potentially, challenging for a division title in the AFC East. I think that that we're going to be looking at them, when asking the question, when are they going to become contenders after this season?
Man, they got a long way to go. I don't see a lot of that talent that you're talking about. I think they don't have much at wide receiver. I don't think they have much at running back. And inside the division, I think they got a really good shot to go 0-6. I don't know if they can beat Buffalo once out of two. I don't know if they can beat New England once out of two. And I mean, maybe Miami. I think they can beat a game and they can win a game against Miami, but they have a really good chance to go 0-6, 1-5 in the division. And I just think that's usually a harbinger for bad things to come. And you're right, though, Zach. I mean, there are games they can win. Ryan, I agree with you. There are games that I think they can win, but I just think it's a big ask for a first-year coach and not a lot of talent.
I just don't see this being the Jets team of the last couple of years where they're an instant win on the schedule for most teams. I think that defense is improved. I think they're going to be, like I said, I think they're going to surprise some people. They're going to be in some games that you wouldn't expect them to be in because that defense is going to be improved.
Sure. I can see that.
And that's
say under, though.
We'll get to this with the rest of the teams in the bracket, or in the division, but the Patriots and the Dolphins still have a lot of questions.
It's true.
Yep.
It's true. I mean, 6 wins. I think 6 wins is a great number. I really do. I mean, I think they can get there. I'm going to say under for the purposes of this conversation because I think 5-12 is very possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Or 4-13 even. I do think you're going to see flashes of improvement. I mean, I think Robert Saleh is a good coach, so I think they'll get better. I think that's still a year away, though. But 2 overs and an under on that one. Let's go to the New England Patriots. Let's talk about them, my Patriots. 9.5. 9.5 on the over-under. Vegas loves what New England has done in the offseason, and they've done a lot, right? They've added some good pieces on defense. They added a couple of tight ends that I like a lot. And they drafted a QB that I think will be starting at some point this season. So 9.5. Let's go, Ryan, 9.5 on New England.
I'm going to take the under on this. They're another team that has a tough schedule. They play a lot of teams that are going to be in contention. You get the Bills twice. And I just don't think that spending in the offseason like they spent is usually not an indicator of really talented team. I know we respect Belichick, the coach, a lot, and there's nothing negative you can say. But as a GM, he's always kind of been middle of the road. I don't know that I really like a lot of the moves that they made and the money that they spent. So I'm willing to wait and see. But I don't think this is the New England team that that it's been for the last 20 years.
Zach?
Yeah, I think that while I do like the quarterback draft, I don't think he's going to play early enough in the year to get to 9.5 wins. I think they're going to keep running Cam out there, and I think we saw the best of what we could have saw out of him, and he's pretty much out the door to me, so I go under.
We saw a bad Cam Newton last year. I mean, like prehistoric, set the NFL back 50 years offensively, Cam Newton. And they still almost went 500. So, like, they knew how... And that was about as low a talent roster as maybe any team in the league. And they almost went 500 in the league last year. So, I don't think it's a lot to say they can get to 10 wins. I think they can. Now, you're right. Buffalo's going to be tough out. They're going to have a tough time winning games against Buffalo. I think, though, they can split with Miami at worst, and they can sweep the Jets. And I think just hanging around 500 or better in the division gives you a good chance. And then you got to go win some games on the road or at home. They always have a good home field advantage late in the season. I think this plays well for them. I don't think 10's out of the realm of possibility. I like 10. I think 10-7 would be a great season for the Patriots, for Bill Belichick. I'm going to say the over. I'm going to take over. And are you going under, Zach?
I'm under, but what do you think, or what makes you think that Cam Newton will be better?
Well,
right, you just said that he set offense back 30 years.
He did. Now he claims. Now I don't speak to this with any kind of certainty, right? Because I don't go to camp. I haven't watched him throw, but they say, or he says, that he's feeling healthy, like his arm feels good, that he might be that he's feeling as good as he's felt in years. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if I'm willing to take that for anything. But I also believe that they have more weapons for him than he had last year. He had an injured Julian Edelman. He didn't have much to throw to. I do think if you can give him some big targets like they did at tight end, I think that helps. I mean, it can't hurt. And they do have a guy that I think they have confidence in the wings, where if Cam is struggling, I don't think Bill will hesitate to make a switch to Mac Jones versus last year when I just think like everybody with all the Stidham steam that was there last season, I don't think he was ever 100% sold on Jarrett Stidham and didn't want to put him in if he didn't have to.
Well, and you kind of see that whenever New England drafts a backup quarterback, right? That for a long time, as long as Brady was there, they were always thinking about who's the next guy, and Belichick's going to hit twice on this because he won the lottery once. But I mean, you really haven't seen that much with them.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just can't get behind Cam. I haven't seen anything out of Cam in a long time.
It's been 5 years.
That would make me bet on him.
I mean, that's really the time frame since we've seen something decent out of Cam, right? It's about 5 years ago.
It is the X factor, right? Although I would say, but 3 years ago they started like 6-1 for Riverboat Ron, and then he got hurt, like he got dinged in the elbow or shoulder or something, and then they kind of limped home. I think
right, but
that was a couple 3-4
story,
years ago.
Right?
Yeah, you're right. Can he stay healthy is the key, right? And I don't know the answer to that. I like the pieces more than I liked him last year. I felt like they got all they could out of that roster last year to go 7-9. I would argue it was probably one of his better coaching jobs to get to 7-9 with that roster, because it wasn't very good. I think it's better this year, so I think they can do better. We'll see. I'm a New England homer a little bit, so I openly admit that there's some bias there, but we'll see. I like it. Let's take the Miami Dolphins, also at 9.5. Zach, 9.5 for the Miami Dolphins. Tua's the guy now. It's his team.
This is one I would not touch in Vegas. But if I was forced to take one, I guess I would go over.
I missed the number. What was the number?
It's 9.5, the same as New England.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, man. No, I got to go under on this one. I don't see it. I don't see it with this team. Man, 9.5 for this?
Zach, you say over. Are you in on Tua?
I think Tua is solid but not spectacular.
Right.
That's my read on him. So I think he'll be okay. And I'm not sold on Cam. Right? So I think that's gonna hurt them. And I just think that the Dolphins are pretty good defensively too. Right? I think that's where we don't talk enough about NFL defenses, but I think they're pretty legit defensively.
I have them closer to 500 than I do to 9 wins in my head. There's just in my mind, there's a lot of coin flip games here.
It's kind of weird. I'm on the fence here a little bit myself with them. I'm going to say over right at 10, just because I agree with you, Zach, on the defense, because I actually like the coach. I think Brian Flores is a good coach. Like, this division is interesting because it's 4 defensive guys as head coaches. It's one of the only real divisions like that. And I think it's one of the only divisions where you're actually going to see like defensive football occasionally. And I think Flores is good. Like, I think Brian Flores is a good coach, and I think they're going to find a way. I don't love Tua. I don't know if I've seen enough to like be in love with Tua, but I like the defense enough. I like some of the talent that they have. I think they're going to find a way to hang in games defensively. They won't get blown out of any game because I think defensively they're going to hang in, and if they can just scratch out 21 points, 24 points, they're going to win. So they're going to find a way to get to 10-7. But I think 9-8 is not far out of the realm of possibility either. So I think this is right on the border. I'm going to lean over. I'm going to take over with you.
Yeah, like I said, it's not one I would want to bet on, but
no, no,
here we are.
You don't want to put any money on this one. I don't think this is a wait and see on Miami. The question is, do you love Tua more than you love the tag team of Cam and Mac Jones? I think the consensus is Mac Jones is going to play at some point, right? That it's not going to be Cam all season. And if it is Cam all season, that means either it's going really well or it's going really bad. I don't know. Buffalo is the next one. They are the favorite in the division, and the over-under is 11 wins. Ryan, 11 wins for the Buffalo Bills.
I think that's probably the number that I would take if I was looking at this the first time. If anything, I think they go over. They've got actually a fairly easy schedule for a team that was pretty good last year. You draw Pittsburgh, who I really don't. I'm not high on Pittsburgh at all. We'll get into that a little bit later. I think they're better than Miami. I think they're better than Washington at this point. Just they're able to score more points. I really do. I think that this is an over for me.
Okay, over. Zach?
I think it's an over as well. Can we just take a minute though to talk about Trubisky's quote today that recently came out? Now that he's on the Bills.
What did he say?
He said, "It's just really nice to be a part of a great team and be somewhere where people want you here and they care about how you're progressing as a person, as a player."
Man, throwing shade at the Chicago Bears.
I love it. I really felt like they mistreated Mitch Trubisky a little bit there. I really do. We won some games there. He did, but just not Patrick Mahomes.
And they were, let's not forget, yesterday the Bears are booing Foles off the field.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do think they mishandled things a little bit there, and we've talked about that before, but I just thought it was interesting. It came across my feed earlier today.
I love that they have a good backup. I think Trubisky is a backup to Josh Allen, a guy who actually carries a similar skill set to Josh Allen in the sense that he's mobile and he can do some different things. I actually thought that was a really sneaky, great signing by Buffalo in the offseason. Really smart.
That and a quarter of the arm strength.
You're right. He doesn't. He doesn't have all of. I didn't say he had all of Josh Allen's skill set. I just said he had it enough where if he had to go in the game, I don't think you have to dramatically change the system. You don't have to do a lot differently for him. I think he can come right in and be a factor if he had to be. Kind of like it.
Sure.
I'm gonna take under here, and here's why. I think the other teams in the division are a little better. I think the Jets are a little better. I think the Dolphins are a little better. I think the Patriots are a little better. So I don't think it's the easy road that it was last year within the division. Within the division, they just cleaned house, right? They dominated the division last year. And that got things going. That got them some momentum, and they started winning some big games. I also just think there is something about how do you handle prosperity. I want to see that. Right, I'm not ready to just hand them 12 wins a season for the next 7 seasons just because Josh Allen signed a big contract and had a big year last year, and Stephon Diggs had a big year last year. Stephon Diggs is also really good at pouting when things get good. Like, he tends to undo good situations. We've seen that happen. I'm not saying it will here, but you already see that locker room tension around the vaccine stuff, the Cole Beasley, Jerry Hughes stuff. I mean, there's some cracks in the foundation. I don't know if they're big cracks, but I think there's cracks, and I'm going to take the under. I think 11 wins is a lot. It's a lot to get to. 10 wins is possible. I think 9 wins is very possible. I'm going to say under.
I don't know that I like Josh Allen as much as everyone else, but that 17-game schedule makes me lean towards over.
That is true. A 16-game schedule, I think you'd smash the under, right? Because you say 11-5, no way. But the extra game does help. You're right about that. All right, to the AFC North. Interesting division, actually. Let's start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Zach, I know you're not a big Steelers guy. 8.5 is the number. 8.5. Vegas not in love with this year's installment of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Which is weird because weren't they like 12-0 last year at one point?
Yes.
Oh,
and a lot
8.5 is a tough number.
Yeah.
8.5 is a tough number, but I'm going to go under. I feel like they're running it back one too many times with the quarterback, and they would have been better off moving on.
But when your only option is Dwayne Haskins or Mason Rudolph, I feel like you want to run it back with Ben Roethlisberger, don't you? I mean, if those are my choices, I'm taking Roethlisberger, right? 100 times out of 100.
Well, but then wasn't their only choice.
Yeah, I guess they could have drafted somebody.
They could have done things in the draft.
Yep.
They could have pursued some other options in free agency, right? Maybe they go after Trubisky. But I think there's also this is kind of the problem I think that a lot of NFL teams have is when you're stuck in the middle with that quarterback, you're then stuck in the middle with the draft, and maybe their better option was to bottom out for a year. Right?
Yep.
Maybe they should have started Mason Rudolph for a year and then come back and draft someone next year.
Could end up happening anyway if Roethlisberger goes down with an injury. Ryan?
I said earlier I'm not bullish on the Steelers. I'm sticking with that, unless of course they start Dwayne Haskins and he completely turns it around and lights it up, which I don't see happening. You just look at the schedule and you don't see a whole lot of wins for them, right? It's every game feels like a coin flip. I think the easiest game is in week 2 for them against the Raiders, and that's still a tough game. But you've got 3 teams on here, I think, that could legitimately contend for a Super Bowl title on the schedule. You've got almost every game against playoff contenders. This is a really tough schedule. I mean, I missed the Detroit game. That's another win, I think. But other than that, man, every game feels like a coin flip at best.
So you're going to go under?
I'm going way under on this, yeah.
Way under. Wow. Are you kidding? Guys, Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season in Pittsburgh. Like, they have found a way to win. Even in the worst of seasons, they have found a way to tread water and be 500. They went 500 with Duck Hodges. Like, and I love the draft of Najee Harris. I think that's going to help their team a ton. They couldn't run the ball last year, and they won 13 games without being able to run the football. So 8.5 to me is a layup. Like, this is a layup over. Maybe this is why I don't gamble in Vegas, because part of me wants to smash the over here and put the mortgage on it, because I'm betting on Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger to figure it out.
I'm not a fan of either of them, so maybe I'm the wrong guy to ask.
I like Tomlin. Although I do agree, as much as I love Tomlin, and I think Tomlin is a good coach, he has had moments where you are scratching your head as a coach, because he's a little bit more of a, I don't want to say he's riverboat gambler Ron, because I think Ron Rivera is a more conservative coach than Mike Tomlin is at times, but he can be a little bit reckless, I would argue. But He finds a way. That guy wins a lot of games. Man, Mike Tomlin's record is pretty staggering as a head coach. It's pretty good. All right, I'm going to take the over on that one. You take the under. All right. Cincinnati. Cincinnati, Ryan. 6.5. 6.5 for the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm going under on this. Similar reasons to Pittsburgh with a tough schedule, but the biggest reason is I think that you're going to find Joe Burrow has the yips. And I think that he's going to make a lot of mistakes this year. He's going to have a really hard time coming back from that knee injury because he's not totally confident in his ability to throw the ball without getting hit at this point. He's going to be flinching. He's going to have an eye on the defensive line. It's going to lead to a lot of mistakes. We're going to be asking questions on if he's a bust now because of that and his injury and his hesitancy. But I think eventually in the long run he'll be fine. But man, this is going to be a tough year for them.
Is the number 6 or 6.5?
6.5. 6.5. I'm sorry. I have 6.5.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'll take under then. I have him at 6.
When you
I think I see 6 wins on the schedule.
When you say the yips, Zach Ryan, I haven't had a chance to watch the film here. He doesn't look good. I've read that he hasn't looked good, but is it like full scale, like Chuck Knobloch can't throw the ball to first kind of yips?
When he has pressure, he won't put weight on his front foot.
Yeah, it sounds like he's not landing on the front foot and following through.
Oh boy.
That's going to affect his power. It's going to affect his accuracy, and it's going to affect his decision making when he's under pressure. He's feeling pressure really, really easily right now.
Wow. That's not good. That's not good. And I like Joe Burrow. I really hope they figure that. I hope that comes together. Zach Taylor, he's going to be like in contention for like Rod Rust or Rod Marinelli kind of coaching winning percentage when his career's done because Hugh Jackson, he'll be right there because I think he's going to get fired at the end of the year. If they go 6 wins, I don't know how you bring him back. It's been, I'm glad they've hung with him, but it hasn't come together. This is supposed to be the year that it moves forward. I'm going to take the under here as well. The quarterback situation's dicey. I hope for the best because I want Joe Burrow to succeed. I really do. I don't love it. I don't love this division, first of all, because I think they're the 4th best team in the division. I think they're going to have a hard time winning 2 division games. I think, they're not better than Cleveland. They're not better than Pittsburgh. They're not better than Baltimore. I think that's usually where you start, right? If you can't go 500 or better in the division, I don't know how you can expect to get those wins elsewhere outside the division. I just don't see it. All right. The Cleveland Browns, the Fighting Kevin Stefanskis, 10.5. 10.5! More than Pittsburgh. Insanity. Zach, insanity. Or not.
I don't think it's insanity at all. I like them better than I like Pittsburgh, and I think they'll hit the over. Why do you not? Let me ask you there. Why is it insanity to
Can you win? Can you have more than one winning season in 20 years before we start giving you 11 wins in the preseason before we've even played it down? I got to see a hell of a lot more than that. Like, Baker Mayfield's had 1 good year out of 5, and we're ready to say that he's going to captain a team that's going to go 12-5 or whatever. I got to see a hell of a lot more than that. I think Stefanski's a fine coach. I think he did a good job. But there was a lot of combustible elements on that team last year, and it broke right. There's still the same combustible elements on that team. We'll see. We'll see.
I think the schedule lines up wonderfully for them.
They're going to be 9-3 by the time they get to their bye.
They play the Chiefs early, and that's probably a loss. But then they're hosting the Texans. They're hosting the Bears. They're in Minnesota. They play the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Broncos, the Steelers, the Bengals, and then the Patriots and Lions. Like, oh my God. There's not the only game on that schedule that you can tell me they're for sure losing would be the Chiefs game.
What do you mean? They come here to Minnesota.
I have them losing to Kansas City, Minnesota, and Denver.
But I'm saying, like, if they lose to, if they beat Minnesota or they beat the Broncos, you would not call that the upset of the century.
Oh, no, not at all.
No, that
I'm
wouldn't
just
be a
saying I think they
shocking-
lose those games. That's
that
all I'm
wouldn't be
saying.
shocking. And they're hosting Denver too, right?
Yeah.
So there's some, whatever that's worth to you. So I just think that the schedule lines up well for them at the start, that they're going to get out the gate pretty quick. You know, and then we didn't even mention games like they play the Raiders, they play, you know, Tim's love affair with the Steelers. So I think they're going to be ahead on that.
I'm just a big Ric Flair guy. You gotta beat the man occasionally if you want to be the man, and like they haven't the Steelers own the Browns for the most part, and I'm not ready to just say that title gets taken so quickly. I gotta see it. I gotta see it to believe it. That's a big number, 10.5, to say that they're gonna go 11-6 at worst.
But
Wait, time. Hold on, though. Hold on. This whole beat the man thing. They beat him in the last week of the regular season, 24-22, and they beat him in the wild card, 48-37.
That's true. I can't dispute any of those things. They did do that. Yes. They got in.
You really had a feeling last year at the end of the year, right? When everything was said and done, you really had a feeling that was the last run for Pittsburgh, right? That was the last. They really, the wheels fell off at the end of the year.
They did.
They looked terrible.
They did.
And they hit a wall, and you really got the feeling like this is going to be it. It doesn't matter if Roethlisberger comes back or not. This team is done. They're cooked. That they really didn't do a whole lot to improve this offseason.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I think they addressed the running back situation. I think Harris is going to be the rookie of the year, maybe potentially. I think Roethlisberger bounces back and has a better finish to the season, and I think I think the 12-0 thing and the COVID stuff, I think really wore this team down last year. I really do. I think they had injuries out the ass on defense. I mean, they lost Bud Dupree in the middle part of the season. I think they lost all three of their linebackers within, all three of their starting linebackers within like 3 or 4 weeks. And they had a tough time just putting bodies out there at the end of the season. And again, I'm not making excuses. You got to play the game, and everybody gets hurt. But I'm just saying we could see that coming weeks ahead of it actually coming. Like, they were winning some games kind of by the skin of their teeth during that winning streak, and then we kind of saw, like, okay, there's some real problems there. The injuries are really piling up now, and the running game is really not there, and they don't have anybody, and this could not end well, and it proved out that way. But it doesn't mean that they're dead, I don't think. And I'm not certainly saying that means Cleveland is ready to be the new king of the jungle. I'm not ready to go there. Are you going over, Ryan, by the way?
Yeah, I'm going over.
All right. I'm going to take the under. Look, 10.5 is a big ask. I think they can win 10 games. No, I think they can go 10-7. Asking me to go 11-6, 12-5, not ready to go there yet. Got to see it. So, all right, Baltimore. This is a big number, too. Huge number. 11. Over-under, Ryan, for the Baltimore Ravens at 11 wins.
This puts them in the driver's seat for the division, yeah? Vegas thinks that they're going to win the division?
Absolutely. They are over Cleveland, a half game better. They have them ranked, at least according to the over-unders, a half game better than Cleveland.
Yeah, I think I take the under on Baltimore. First of all, in my opinion, I think Cleveland's the better team this year. I think that they have some tougher draws on the schedule. I'm gonna take the under on Baltimore.
Zach?
I have them at 10 wins, so that would put me in the under crowd. Although the interesting thing too is a lot of their ones that I was back and forth on, they're the road team, which made me even more tenuous to pick them to win that game. So that's where I'm at. I think they're a 10-win team at best.
Yeah, I got to say under 2. I think this division's going to be really competitive. Every game's going to be tough. And, I think Cincinnati is a team that if you're going to win the division, you need to beat the Bengals twice and then split with the other 2 teams and go 4-2 in the division. And I think they can do that. But I think there's a long way from, I don't love everything about Baltimore. I like the coach. The quarterback still has some questions for me. I think he's a really talented player, and winning that playoff game was big for them last year. I still don't know if he's the guy I want to bet my money on late in the season to win them a game with his arm. I'm not ready to go there yet on Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, I think they can win 10 games. I think they can win 10 games as well. They might be able to get to 11. I don't know if they can go over 11. So I got to say under as well. I got to pick the under with Baltimore. It's going to be an interesting division to watch. Are you sold on Lamar Jackson? I mean, to throw... Am I missing something on Lamar Jackson? Am I wrong, or has Lamar Jackson got work to do in your eyes?
I think he's a really talented quarterback that tries to do too much often. I think that he thinks that he has to put everything on his shoulders, and I don't think that's the case, and it gets him into trouble a lot of the time. So I don't want to say he's not talented. I don't want to come across as a dig, but yeah, there are definitely still questions about Lamar Jackson, right? I don't think that that's remarkable to say, but I also don't want it to come across like I'm saying that I think he's bad, because I don't.
Yeah, I think he takes more heat than he probably should, just because of who he is. Yeah. His style is different. I think he's in the right situation, right? How many NFL teams and coaches would have adjusted their whole offense for him? Not many.
Right.
And so I think he's good at what he does.
Yep.
And you're going to end up in a situation sometimes where maybe like the Titans end up in as well. Like your style of offense, if you get down in a game, it makes it tough to come back.
Yeah.
Right? At some point, you're going to have to be able to throw the ball a little bit in the NFL. Not that he can't throw it, but it's just not what they're best at.
I agree.
So that, I think, it limits him a little bit. But no, I think he takes way too much heat.
He does take a little too much heat. I kind of agree with that. I don't love the fact that he got COVID twice, never got the vaccine. I don't love that. I think that decision-making comes into play there. But I think he's, as far as just overall game-changing talent, he's got that. Like he's got some just he can take a game over. The question is how long in his career can he take games over with his legs before eventually somebody says, beat me with your arm? And we've seen that in the past with guys who are mobile quarterbacks who maybe aren't great throwers. Eventually, the jig is up on that one. So I don't know. I like him, but I'm not sure that I need to see more with the arm. Is all I'm saying. I'm going to take the under on that one too, though. All right, last one. The AFC West. Ryan, I'll start with you. I'll go with the Denver Broncos. We just saw them kick the shit out of the Vikings. They clearly wanted that more than Minnesota. They played a lot of first stringers early on, but their over/under is 8.5. 8.5. Do you buy it?
I do buy it. I think for them, I take the over.
Yeah.
This feels like a team that's going to be markedly improved. Obviously, that all depends on the quarterback, right? If Drew Lock can actually take a step forward, if he's about where he was last year, I think 8 wins is about right, and I'd probably go under actually. But no, I'm going to take the over on this. As I look at their schedule right now, it's really not that difficult. It seems like they can win a lot of these games.
Zach, what you think?
I think it's an over.
Yeah.
I'm going over. I think that the quarterback is better than a lot of people think. Right? He didn't play a ton the first year. Then he had some injury stuff the second year. I think he's a solid quarterback. I don't think he's a game changer, but I don't think he's as bad as some people act like he is.
I agree.
And there were people too who were talking, right? I mean, there was talk that the Denver Broncos are, Aaron Rodgers away from winning the Super Bowl. Well, that tells me there's got to be some other talent there too, then, right?
Yeah.
I think they may have the best outside of Kansas City. They might have the best wide receiver group in the NFL, like a total team room.
I kind of agreed. That was one of my thoughts. Was like that was one thing I came away impressed with. I mean, in preseason, again, what do you take from it? Just the pure speed that they have with Judy and Hamler, and then you add Cortland Sutton back in, who's healthy, and they're Noah Fant at tight end, who I really like. Like, there's some things there that you really like. Like I kind of think they're a good squad. I kind of like. Yeah, you're right. It's all Drew Lock. It's all Drew Lock. If he's any good, or if it's Teddy and Teddy has to come in and win some games, if they can steer the ship, yeah, 9 wins I think is very possible for Denver, and they kind of need it. The coach needs it. The head coach needs a winning season to keep his job there. So do you say everybody says over?
Yeah,
I'm over.
I'm going to say over too. I again, preseason doesn't tell you anything, but I saw speed, I saw some talent, and that's the stuff you're looking for, right? I mean, and even their rookie running back had some moves that I was impressed with. Again, what does it matter? But I mean, again, I'm not trying to put him in the Super Bowl here or anything off a preseason game, but it looked like there was more talent there than I've seen in the past. Just looked like there was talent. All right.
Well, I thought when we talk about what to take away from preseason games, the decision making was solid by Locke.
Yeah.
Whatever was against, the ball was going to the right place.
Well, that's exactly it, Zach. Right? He was going against the twos of the Vikings, and he was doing what number one quarterbacks do to twos. Right? He was kicking their ass. He was moving the ball up and down the field and hitting the right receiver and getting things done. I think you got to be impressed with that. That's not nothing.
Yep. Yeah. So I think it was a solid performance by him, and I've brought that up before, right? Like, yeah, when you play teams like this is what you should do, right? So when you play someone's second string, but you got your best guy out there, then yeah, you should look really good. Yeah. And they did.
There's a weird one for you. The Las Vegas Raiders. John Gruden is in like year 20 of his second run here. I feel like he's been there now. This is what, year 4 or 5? This has got to be year 4 or 5 for Gruden. I know because I remember Jason Witten was in the Monday Night booth a few years ago. Las Vegas is 7. Over under, Zach, Gruden. And is this thing going to work?
Yikes. I think they'll go over. I don't know that it works. How's that for an answer? There's some stuff there, right? I mean, and they did play better at times last year. But you still have some questions with the quarterback. I still have some questions with the decision-making by Gruden at times. And so, I think the schedule is weak enough, right? You've got games with the NFC East. You've got games with like the Bengals and some of the lesser teams in the AFC. So I think they can scratch together enough wins to go over, but I just don't know if this is going to ever amount to what they wanted it to amount to.
Ryan?
I'm going to go under on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that this is a team that is far and away the worst team in their division. The Chargers, I think, are going to be much better this year with a better defense. Obviously, Justin Herbert was the rookie of the year. He comes back. Kansas City, I think, is the best team in the NFL. And the Broncos look really good. And I think that they're the third best, or the third best team. They're going to jockey with LA, but they're way better than Oakland, or than Vegas. I mean, so it's going to be 0-6 in the division. Whoa. And then you don't have an easy schedule outside of the division either. So I look at the talent on the team. I don't think that their offensive line is going to hold up real well. I just don't trust it. I don't think their defense is very good. So I'm going to go under on this. I have them as like a 4-5 win team.
Wow. Where would you set the over-under on us referring to them as Oakland during the season?
Way over. I think we're past it already. We are.
So are they going to have more wins or Oakland references? That's going to be the question. That's going to be the true battle.
That's the prop bet.
The prop bet. Actual wins for the Vegas Raiders versus how many times we say Oakland Raiders on the podcast. I think that's going to be a healthy one. Ryan, man, I don't think they're that bad. There's so much. I mean, I love the tight end. I think Waller's terrific. I think they've got talent at wide receiver. They've got Jacobs at running back, who I really like. Carr is a question mark. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the division. But again, it's another one of those things where we're giving Justin Herbert a lot of credit, and a rookie coach who has never been a head coach in this league for Los Angeles, we're giving them an awful lot of credit for nothing on the resume as of yet. I'm going to say over. I think I don't know if it's going to work with Gruden either. I agree with you on this one, Zach. I think we've seen enough here that this year they have to be a contender for the playoffs. Otherwise, you got to start looking at Gruden and going, I know we signed you to a 10-year deal, but like, what's the out? Is there an out somewhere here that we can move you to the somewhere just move on quietly from this gig or something? But I'm going to take the over here because I just think there's a lot of talent on the team, and you're asking me to buy into a rookie coach in L.A. and a second-year quarterback. I'm not ready to do that yet. You're asking me to buy into Drew Lock, who hasn't proven he can do it yet. I'm not ready to go that far totally. And I think the Chiefs can't win 12 to 13 games forever. There is going to be a time when they have to face some adversity. I don't know when that is. May not be this year. But I can't just say they're a 5-win outfit. Can't go with it. So I'm going to take the over. Let's go to... How about the LA Chargers then? I just brought them up, Zach. The LA Chargers, do you love them at 9.5? 9.5 for the LA Chargers.
I don't. I think this is where you see the regression of the quarterback, right? Like, Herbert looks great year one. He's the talk of the town, but I think he's going to take a step back now. You've got a year of film on him. You have teams ready to game plan for him, and the schedule's a little bit tougher. So I think they're an under team.
Ryan, you like them, right?
I have them at 9-10. So I may go under just because I think that 9 is probably the number for me at 9.5. But they're a team that I think can challenge, and I think they're going to get better. I don't know that I see a regression so much as stagnation. I think that it's the coach is obviously going to be the big question mark here for me. But I think the defense improves. I think the offense is still pretty good. It's just going to be a question of management and building a team culture that is going to be a question mark for me. But I think 9-10 wins is my thought, but I'll go under just to say 9 wins.
It at least appears that the Chargers fans weren't the ones brawling in the stands the other night. So that's a good thing. It's good to know that the fan base is still well reserved, and it seems like they know how to behave themselves at games. The Rams fans clearly don't, but we'll have to keep an eye on that one throughout the course of the season. I'm not in on it. I'm going to take the under on the Chargers. First-year coaches that are, I think, again, everybody's wanting the next 29-year-old head coach. They want the next Sean McVay. So you just hire all the young guys off of McVay's staff, and sometimes that works. Sometimes that doesn't work. I'm not sold on the coach. I'm not sold on the coach. The quarterback needs more time. I think 9.5 is a big ask. I'm going to say under. By the way, did you see the film? Did you watch the footage of the fans fighting there, Zach? Are you big on fans brawl?
Yeah, I think
like
all
the
those
second Malice in the Palace almost.
Where you've got like Ursula the Sea Witch tossing the full soda from behind.
Yeah, Jesus H. What the hell is going on over there? The fans need to be all these fans need to be thrown out, permanently banned from games. Then you start to send a message. You got to start sending a message to some of these clowns. Assholes. All right, last one. The Kansas City Chiefs, 12.5. Ryan, 12.5 over under.
I'm going to take the over.
Whoa.
Here. This is a 15-16 win type season for them.
Off of a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you mean? Why do you think so?
The biggest, most glaring problem on this team was the offensive line last year. And by and large, that was the thing that they addressed in the offseason. They shored up every position along that offensive line. They got some new veteran players, but they also got some younger players who are going to be pretty good. They invested in more weapons around Patrick Mahomes. There are the questions on defense that appear to have been addressed in the draft. They They came back and they said, here we know where our problem spots are, so we're going to address those problem spots and trust that the things that have worked out will continue to work out. And I think it's going to work out just fine.
Zach, 12.5. He's got to think about this.
I'm going to go under.
Under.
I think I did have to think about it, and it's that extra game that throws me off. I'm telling you. I think that the problem that they're going to run into is a little bit of complacency, right? I mean, they've been there now 2 years in a row, plus the year before. Remember, they were lining up offsides away from playing in the Super Bowl.
It's true.
The year before that, too. And so at some point, it becomes hard to do, right? Like we've seen it. It's hard to play at that level every year. And even with some of those great Patriot runs that we saw, they didn't always happen after a dominating regular season, right? They seemed to find a way to get a bye in the first round and win enough games to do that, but they didn't seem to care if they were the 1 or the 2 or how that all shook out. So I think that they're going to be a good team. They're going to win a lot of games, but that caps out at 12.
Yeah, I like 12 wins, 11 wins for the Chiefs too. I think they're going to be in a tough division. I mean, every game's going to be a tough game. Denver's going to be tougher than they have been. I do think you have an improved Chargers team. I don't think it's a 10-win Chargers team, but it's an improved Chargers team, and I think it's a good Vegas team. It's not a great Vegas team, but it's a good one. All of those games you're going to have to be you're really going to have to bring your A game to win. There's no walkovers for Kansas City within the division. They don't have a Houston Texans like that they get twice a year. I mean, I think the Texans might be on their schedule, but they don't get a twice a year walkover Detroit Lions type thing. Not this year, I don't think. So they're going to have to, and they got to play Green Bay in the 17th game. So the one game they didn't get any favors with the 17th game. They were given a really tough opponent for the 17th game that's just thrown into the middle of the schedule. Not that that's the end of the world, but clearly the 17th game didn't break their way in a positive way. They were given a really tough opponent and a really tough quarterback in a tough spot in the season. So I'm going to say under because I think 12.5 is hard to get to. I think 12 is the right number, maybe 11. And I think, they're still going to be an excellent team. They're still going to go deep in the playoffs. But I agree with Zach. Super Bowl letdowns are real. We've seen it happen way too many times for us to just say that doesn't exist here or that it's not possible. So I'm going to say under. Gentlemen, we have over-undered both the AFC and the NFC. Any last-second thoughts before we move forward?
No, I'm ready for the season to start.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way. I'm going to make my official predictions for the divisions here in the next couple days and then get ready to sit back and watch it all happen.
We will have maybe one final preview pod where we do get some division predictions, some Super Bowl predictions, maybe look at some prop bets, maybe talk first coach fired. Looking at you, Zach Taylor. Looking at you, David Culley. No, he'll get the whole season. Of course he will. Dan Campbell, looking at you, bud. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, see how this goes and how this plays out. We'll get that before the season starts, but I am with you guys. I am super excited for the start of the regular season. I'm off to California on Tuesday. We're going to go play some golf at Pasatiempo. It's going to be 68 and sunny at tea time. Oh, Jesus, it's going to be so good. Can't wait.
Okay.
You do. It's going to be fun stuff. Everybody, I want to thank you for listening again. Continue to do so. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast. Please rate, subscribe us, give us 5 stars, leave a comment, share it out, do all that stuff. I'm at Tim Anderson Pod on Twitter. Sweet Cane Music's on Twitter as well if you want to talk to Ryan. And if you want to get some football breakdowns or whatever, you can go to Man vs. Game 1 and talk to our buddy Zach. It'll be good stuff. So for Zach, for Ryan, this is Tim saying keep your head up. We'll see you next time.